Welcome to the Bodybuilding Banter Podcast, your number one source of all things bodybuilding. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on future episodes. Now, here's your host, Leroy Rollins.
Yeah. All right, my man. For those that may not know who you are, give a brief introduction and tell them what you're all about.
Yeah, sure. My name's Damian Lees. I'm a WNBF Pro. Been competing, a long time. Started my very first competition. I was 15 years old back in 1992. Went up through the ranks, teenager, junior. Had a long layoff then. Pursued other sports, Thai boxing, things like that. And then I came back at the age 32 back in 2009. Competed as a novice. Came through up there over to then through the lightweights, and then eventually getting my pro card back in 2015. So quite a long career.
How old were you when you turned pro?
I was 40. 40 I think. Yeah, 39, 40 when I was
That's cool. So one thing that one of the reasons I reached out to you is I like to talk to athletes that have been doing this a long time. So myself, I've been competing since 2015. So I've been in it, a couple of years now, very still fresh in the sport compared to yourself. So I like to hear, your hindsight in the sport, things you've learned, things maybe you would have done differently, the way you look at things now versus when you were maybe my age in your 20s. So start with competitively, what kind of drove you to wanting to compete? You started very young then.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, in hindsight, maybe too young because I was I've probably been training 6 months. I joined a really old school gym called Silver's Gym at the time. There was back in those days, they were quite hardcore gyms, old school type of gyms. They weren't the fancy fitness centers and all that kind of stuff. But I went in there and it was during the summer holidays. So I was still at high school. Yep. And then I remember thinking, right, I'm going to join up a gym because my friend introduced me to various gyms over a period of a few months. Joined Silver's Gym, and then there was a poster up on the wall, and it said the Mr. Berry competition, Mr. and Miss Berry. And I looked on the poster, and it said under 18s, teenagers, juniors, men's, novice, over 40s. Masters, the type of classes what you typically see now as well. And then I just looked at the poster and I thought, hang on a minute, there can't be that many people at my age or under 18 because I'm born and bred in Bury, and thinking if it's a Mr. Berry competition, there's not that many people I know who are bodybuilders. So I thought, yeah, why not? Let's have a go at it. So I got in touch with the gym owner, Rob Worthington, who was Mr. Universe back then. And rather than laugh in my face, he was like, yeah, let me train you for it. And he wrote me a diet, which I only stuck to for about a week. I just could not diet back then. I just didn't have the enthusiasm. I just lived off my mum's cooking. And then he trained me I probably lasted about 2 weeks under his guidance because he just absolutely killed me. We're talking force reps, everything. He trained super high intensity but high volume as well. And he absolutely just killed me. But I still entered the competition. There were 5 of us who entered. I went backstage. I remember getting ready. I was really nervous. And I remember looking at the guys getting ready, and I was thinking, they can't be teenagers. But, they looked amazing. I was like, wow. Yeah. Now's the time I think I should have dieted for it, or at least give myself some more training under my belt. Entered the competition. I absolutely loved it. I came last. I got 5th out of 5 people. Yeah. But from then on, I was hooked. Back then there was the magazines. There was so many magazines out there. There was a lot of bodybuilders training, a lot of local guys competing and to look up to as well. Yeah. So I was in that kind of environment and bubble, if you will, where everyone was just supporting each other. It was a little bit like you hear about Gold's Gym in the Mecca, Venice and all that back in the 90s. Yeah. It was like that in the little town of Bury, amongst 2 gyms, basically. And it was an amazing time just to get into bodybuilding before social media and the internet and everything like that. Back then when you wanted to find out the Olympia results, you had to ring up this hotline, or you had to wait a few months for the magazines to come out. So obviously technology's advanced since then and everything like that. It's a lot different now.
It is very different.
Of course, a lot different. Back then, I mean, I was quite naive, so I was picking up the magazines and I was trying to follow what all the pros were doing, everything like that. And in hindsight, I should have just stuck to the basics, like a lot of people are doing now. Basic exercises, basic compounds, aim to beat the logbook, and do it that way. And I think my results maybe have progressed a lot quicker if I would have known what I do now. But over the years, as a teenager, when I started training with older guys and things like that, it made me train harder as well. So at one time, I wasn't necessarily training correctly or doing the best for my body, but it taught me how to train hard, basically. And through the years, from there, I just developed and learned a lot myself, and having clients myself as well. You just kind of like pick up and you shift away the fluff and do what works, basically. So it's been quite a journey so far.
It's funny you say how much it's changed. Obviously since you started to now, it's changed a lot. But even when I started competing, there was maybe 2 or 3 guys around that competed. At that time, it was still the magazines. Like my mom, she couldn't take me grocery shopping at Walmart or something, and I couldn't go to the magazine rack and buy me this, would you? Like, because I was so invested in it too. But you're right, now it's all on social media and stuff, and some things for the better, but I think some things for the worse as well.
Yeah. There can be nowadays on social media, there can be a lot of noise, and someone getting into the sport and that if they can easily get confused with so much information out there and everything. But the information is out there, and I think if you follow the guidance of maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe hire a coach, learn the basics, and then I think you can develop your physique a lot quicker than making the mistakes. But it's part of my character. I've made a lot of mistakes. I still make mistakes. Even as a pro level, I've made mistakes. And it's all about part of the learning curve, really.
Yeah, for sure. I think too, like one of the big things I notice, and maybe you can speak to this too, but a lot of younger people, I find they get in the comparison game with other people way too much, and I think that's a lot of what social media's unfortunately brought to the sport. Like when you were growing up, maybe you saw people in the gym, but you didn't really look at them and look at yourself, whereas now, because everybody just posts a perfect picture, so you're going on social media and stuff, and I have a few clients that are 19, 20, and they think they just look like garbage, and I'm like, man, you're so young in the game, like don't even worry about it, right? But it gets in their heads, and they feel like, well, they look like this and I only look like this, but that's their body. You're doing your body, just leave it alone.
It's true. I mean, I prep clients myself as well, and I prep guys from like junior level right up to masters, grandmasters, and we have conversations, and sometimes it's like, well, X person is lifting this much on deadlifts, or this one person's squatting this much, and oh yeah, I'm not sure if I look as good as this person. It's like, well, you're on your own journey, and it's like on social media, you've got the little mini Dorians out there and nothing but eating, sleeping, breathing, bodybuilding and things like that. And I always say, to friends and my clients that you just got to focus on yourself and do what you can, and not trying to compare, what you're lifting to others. I mean, when you see other guys, lifting huge amount of weights, which is impressive, don't let that get you down. Look at it as impressive, but it's people kind of like almost trying to chase their numbers too quickly. They end up hurt. You got to focus on your own journey. And it's all about, especially for competing bodybuilding, it's how you look on stage, not necessarily how much you lift. I mean, yes, the top guys are considerably strong. There is like correlation there, but overall, it's about how the physique looks when we're talking about natural competitive bodybuilding.
Yeah. So coming up through your journey, when did you feel like you had like okay, I've built something here, you know what I mean? Because you competed from 15, turned pro at 40. At what age did you kind of look at yourself and say, okay, I'm actually pretty happy with what we've got here?
I'll probably say maybe 2013. 2013, 2014, at the point where I was knocking on the door of a pro card. It took me 3 attempts to get me a pro card, because I remember 2013, after I won the UK show, I got an invite to the Worlds, WNBF Worlds,
Yep.
and a guy who was a pro, Joel Ramintus from Australia, I don't know if you know him. He's won the Worlds and he's held pro cards within different federations. He came back to the WNBF, but he had to go back to an amateur. So basically, he beat me for the pro card in my class. So first attempt at the Worlds, I thought, yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
And then when I was pushing him for that top spot and I got second in my first set, that's the kind of point where I thought, actually, yeah, I'm doing all right, you know, as a competitive bodybuilder.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time, really, just to get to that point. I mean, if we go back at 2009 when I was a novice, I think because of the condition I displayed, I mean, there were 16 guys in my lineup, and I ended up winning it.
Wow.
And I ended up beating bigger guys as well, who outweigh me by like 20 pounds plus.
Yep.
But I think the condition and the package what I brought, kind of thought, well, yeah, I might have a bit of a career in this, because I only entered it just to see, you know, if I could diet properly and if I could get in the condition I wanted to. I had no expectations of, you know, turning pro or winning UK title or anything like that. It was just kind of, you know, let's see how I do in this, you know, as a novice, you know.
That's amazing. So you always been lightweight?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on kind of what federation. So I compete roughly. I mean, back in 2009, I was only like, 71 kilos. So I was about 156 pounds. Then over the years, I got a little bit heavier. But I compete roughly anywhere from 73 to 74 kilos, which is about 162, around about that mark.
Okay.
So in some federations, that would be a middleweight.
Yeah.
Other federations might be a lightweight. So whenever I've done like WNBF Worlds, it's always been as lightweight, you know.
Yeah. So being, you know, on the smaller side of the kind of scheme here, what do you think is, you know, most important? Like, is it a symmetry thing? Is it a structure thing? Conditioning? Like, what do you think makes a smaller athlete, you know, be able to, you know, win a pro card and take out guys, like you said, 20 pounds heavier?
Yeah. Well, I think for me, when I competed with the WNBF, it was a case of competing against guys in my weight category.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm in condition and say a heavyweight's in top condition, unless I've got better structure than them, then chances are they're going to beat me. You know, if you look at the top pros who are like heavyweights, and if you look at the top pros who are lightweight, there's not that many lightweights who tend to be, you know, beating the heavyweights. I mean, you got Brian Whitaker, who's quite an exception.
Yes,
but I think overall, it's a case of the package you bring.
Yeah.
So when I've been competing, like the last like 5 years, I've always been looking at saying, right, okay, I'm not going to have the muscle like, say, Rich Gozecki has or David Kay, you know, all them kind of guys, you know, Sam Watt. So I've got to bring a really good package together. So really less weaknesses as possible, you know, show me strengths. And I'm quite a good poser as well at presenting my physique. So I think the way I present my physique can give that illusion as well, you know, where I look bigger than I actually weigh. So I think that and conditions are number one thing as well as bringing the package, which kind of puts me in good stead just to be competitive, really.
It's amazing how many people don't pay enough attention to posing, which is, at the end of the day, that's what we're going to do on show day, right? But, you know, I remember there was guys backstage at my last show, like practicing a posing routine, like trying to figure it out on the spot. And I'm just like, man, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Practice that shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for posing, for me, it's something I really enjoy. I mean, but back in the days I was getting into bodybuilding, my aspirations were like Lee Labrada, Barry DeMay, Sean Ray, and they could all pose, you know, Rich Gaspari, all them guys. So even at my first competition, I even put together a pretty good routine, even though my physique didn't show it. The routine was all right, and I did focus a lot on posing, and it just got better over the years. But nowadays, I think, I mean, not many people spend as much attention on posing. They leave it like to the last minute, and I think that shows as well, because it's not just how to pose, it's stamina. If you look at like WNBF Worlds at the pros, we can be on stage and holding poses for like up to 40 seconds per pose. We can be on stage for like 35, 40 minutes. So you've got to have that stamina as well for it, you know.
It's confidence too, right? Like if you go up there and you know, you know, how to hit it, and you know, like your placement, you know, when you hit a side chest, your hand's always going to land in the same spot, and your foot's in the same spot because you've just drilled it so much. And like you said, if you're holding it for 40 seconds, like that's, people don't think that might sound like a lot, but I assure you that it is.
It is a lot. It really is hard work. But I've seen so many physiques over the years where you're like, you know, they turn to the back and do a real lat spread, and the big guys hold a lot of muscle, and then they do a lat spread and they just go in, and the scapula comes out, and you think, wow, you're not showing off your back there, and it's a case of they've not really put effort into it, or actually had someone help them, or even look in the mirror to see how the back looks, you know, and it's cost them shows in the past, you know. I've seen it happen many times in various categories, including the men's physique as well, you know.
Okay, so let's dive into training a little bit. Describe your training to the world.
Okay, well, my training's changed over the years. As I'm getting older now, I still lift heavy, you know, as much as I can, but it's more about bringing up my weaknesses now to bring that overall package before I retire, basically, from competing. So I will do 5 days a week training, and I will do 2 push sessions, 2 pull sessions. One is more delt dominant, and the other session is a bit more chest. And I train legs at the moment just once a week. So, for example, my back is quite high volume because I'm trying to bring that up, so we're attacking it from all angles. I say we, I don't know if you know Valentin Tambossi.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, he's my coach, so we've hooked up together for this year's prep, which I'm not starting yet, but basically over the winter period we've worked together and agreed like a routine. So from there, that's the routine at the moment. So it's quite high volume for back, for delts, and then a little bit less volume for like chest, my strong points basically. Because we both felt that, even though I love low volume training and high intensity, we felt that for my physique that more volume would be, you know, the answer for bringing me back up. And I think so far I'm getting some good results, but I won't know for sure until I diet right down, because I'm quite heavy in this off season. So until it's all peeled off, then that's when we see the real results.
That's funny. That split is very, very similar to what I'm doing. My back is an area I've been working with Cliff Wilson. And my back. And my back was an area. He said, you know, front shots, side shots, I like them. Back, we need some work. My chest has always been a very dominant body part. So you're rhyming this off, and I'm like, yep, me too. That's funny.
That's quite high volume then for back.
Yeah. So I was kind of, I guess, in the middle ground. I wasn't fully invested in the whole low volume stuff. Like over here in Canada, I would say the training style, it's very basic. There's not, you know, a lot of guys are doing what the pros are doing, like in the IFBB. Natural bodybuilding over here is not as broad, so then, you know, how different people train is maybe not as broad. So I, you know, learning about what other people are doing, and obviously, you know, researching what all you guys in the UK are doing over there, JP, that stuff. It's like, you know what, I'm going to give it a shot. So the last, like, year, I've been really like invested in the lower volume, high intensity stuff and getting just so strong, which has been fun, right? And I can see it translate in my physique, right? Like I can visually see like, okay, like, you know, me pulling over 500 pounds every week is doing something, and, you know, bent over rows and all that stuff, right? So it's been fun. But yeah, we've dabbled in, for my back specifically, increasing the intensity a little bit, increasing the volume, and just trying to hammer it, right? And like you said, different angles, you know, getting different movements in, and it's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and high volume as well. It doesn't mean training like a pussy, you know. It means, you know, I'm still training hard. It just means when you get older in training as well, you train a long time, you pick up niggles, stuff like that. You just got to be smart about your training. And I still do the low volume for some exercises, the big movements, but other exercises they get a little bit more volume. Still train hard. And just really hit that target muscle as much as possible, you know.
What are your kind of bread and butter movements right now?
Yep, RDLs is definitely a big one for me. I mean, at one time where I was going low volume, I did get up to like around about 190 kilos on that for about 8 reps, but I'm benefiting so much now by going lighter, but holding the pause for a moment and just doing more sets. Maybe just leave about 2 reps in the tank, and I'm finding I'm benefiting a lot more from that the way it feels than doing like, you know, an all-out set or 2 reps. You know, it's the way my body feels afterwards, because when your body feels absolutely battered, there's only so much you can sustain that, you know. And deloads will only get you so far, but I find this is just the right amount of volume, so I'm able to put more attention into back and the weaker areas, and all being well, when I diet down, you know, I'll hopefully, you know, show them areas as well. But definitely RDLs is another one. Weighted dips, chest dips. That has been a bread and butter for my chest for like God knows how long. You know, heavy dips as well as body weight dips as well. That's a big one for me. Heavy Smith machine overhead presses. That's a big one. Bent over rows, but with like a 2-3 second pause at the bottom.
Like in the stretch?
Yeah, the pause stretch, that's making a massive difference. And it's just the way your back feels with that heavy load compared to maybe, so say for example, if I do 105 kilos for 4 sets with a pause, the way that feels compared to doing it like 120, 130 kilos with a little bit of body language, that does feel good. But the way my body feels from it, I just feel like I'm responding better just from them little tweaks, you know.
So tell me what your bent over row looks like, because that is probably one of the biggest arguments on the internet about bent over row. Are you here with a little bit of this? Like, where's your bent over row lie?
I'm pretty much in between, so I'm not a pendlay row parallel.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like I'm not Dorian style, like almost upright. Yeah. I'm in between. Yeah, I'm in between. I'm pausing the stretch, and what I'm trying to do is hips back, lock them back, and I'm trying to use as minimal body language as I possibly can, just to stay locked in. And I'm just staying put, and then just rolling with it. You know, simple as that.
I love how mad people get about it too. People get in arguments about that stuff, and I'm just like, man, let's pick one and just do it. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen, you know, the form police come on there and say to people, you know, you're not doing that right. If you did that right, you couldn't lift this. But the way I see some people rowing, I'm like, yeah, you can just tell that's working really well. Way, say, AJ Morris rows, if you look at the way he rows, he's got really good control, but he uses a little bit of body language, but you can just tell it's working for him, you know. The way I've tried it in the past, I've watched my form and I'm like, I think I can get more out of this. So drop the ego, and then for me personally, you know, I'll cap it at the moment around about 105 kilos and just try and work up slowly. But yeah, I mean, people get really upset, and it's like, well, it's not really that important, really, is it to you? You know?
No. What are your thoughts on wearing a belt?
I wear a belt. I've tried beltless. I had a phase of doing beltless in terms of pressing a number of years ago, rows, deadlift, stuff like that. And what I found was the only way I could get around doing that is if I cleverly planned my other sessions, like my leg training and stuff like that, to recover in time. And what I found is I was hindered my recovery a few days later from that. So for me personally, I mean, I get the theory, you know, you can thicken up your lumbar and everything like that. But for me now, especially at my age as well, for me, I just wear a belt. And I just lock in, you know, I use the balsamic maneuver on deadlifting and things like that. I'll lock it in there. And it works for me, you know. But, you know, if you can do beltless and you can recover for your other sessions so that they're not impacted, you know, go ahead, great, do it. Yeah, definitely.
See, you answered that perfectly, because people like, yes or no, what should I do? And it's like, depending on you, depending on your recovery, your training situation, there's so many factors that just go into, like, you can't just give it yes or no. I used to wear a belt. Now I don't wear a belt, and it feels better for me sometimes. Like you said, if it hinders my recovery, I'd reassess it, but I feel fine. I can recover okay, so I'll run with it. If it doesn't work that way, maybe I'll put a belt on again, right? Like,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, sometimes, my clients will send me training videos of the exercises, and if I see someone wear a belt doing push downs or curls, or I'm like, come on, get the belt off, you know.
It's going to keep my waist small, man. It's going to keep my waist small.
yeah, exactly. But I think some people use it for a comfort blanket for some exercises. But yeah, I mean, you know, I'm all for going beltless as long as you can recover. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I wear it on squats. That's one of the main ones. I was really having a good run with barbell squats. Like I got up to, I think my top I ever hit was 455 for 4.
That's good. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, and I hit four plates for 10, which was a lifetime. I think if I died tomorrow and someone was like, "What's your best set of life?" It would be that.
Yeah.
But I'll wear a belt on squats just because it feels comfortable. But any pulling right now, it feels okay without it. So it's very situation dependent.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can't remember the last time I barbell squatted. I mean, I do miss it, to be honest with you, but my ego got to a point where I was doing about 4 plates as well, and I got to a point where as soon as I go heavier, the movement just changes for me, and I end up stiff hips, stiff knees, everything like that. Yeah. And from there, it was just like, right, I've got an option here. I can either stick to this weight for now, or just find something else, what I can recover from well.
Yeah, same here. I was having a good run with it. I had my last kind of big shot, and then I spoke with Cliff and said, hey, squats have been fun these last 6-7 months. We've had a good run with it, but I think I need to switch it out. Let me know. And now he's got me doing like barbell lunges, which is very humbling. Very humbling.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's good. It's good. And like, my hips are now looser. My knees don't feel bad because, it gets to a point, especially, we're not big guys, right? So you get on, 400 plus pounds and you're trying to squat it for reps. Like your body's not, it's not invincible as much as we want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to look at longevity as well in the sport and everything like that. And if it works for you in barbell squatting, full deadlifts, all of that, great, keep it in there. But you find your own path over time, and when you pick up niggles and stuff like that, and this is it. You got to do what's best for you, really.
Yeah, and it's being a smart bodybuilder too, right? Like, at the end of the day, there's nothing we have to do. Right? It's not like powerlifting. It's not like weightlifting. We don't have to squat. If you don't like to squat, if it hurts to squat, don't squat. Right? You have plenty of other options, right? And it's just that old, I'm sure it was the same way when you were younger, right? Like it was, you got to bench press, you got to squat, you got to deadlift, you got to do pull-ups, overhead press. And it's, I think a lot of top bodybuilders nowadays, if you were to ask if you're doing, like say there was 10 exercises that when we were younger, you had to do.
Yeah.
There might be 2 in that list that a top pro is doing on a regular basis. The other ones, they're doing, a hack squat instead of a barbell squat. They're doing an RDL instead of a deadlift. They're doing more lateral raises than overhead presses. You know what I mean? Like you just learn, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, basics, keep in. But I mean, I can't remember last time I flat barbell benched as well. But I mean, my chest is probably one of my stronger areas. But I couldn't tell you when I got it. It's probably going back to the days when, we should probably talk about 5-6 years ago, when I did a program from Eric Helms, and he got me benching 3 times a week, undulated periodization, all that. And I was doing bench there, and I do love to bench, but I much prefer like a weighted dip and an incline dumbbell press. That they really work for me.
For sure. Nutrition wise, what does the off season look like, and what does prep look like?
Right, well, if you were to ask me what it was like over Christmas, then, quite high calories. I was just eating whatever I want. As long as I was getting my protein in every 3 hours, then I was pretty much eating anything. I was having a beer every night during the Christmas holidays, stuff like that. But I've put more structure now from January. So basically, my calories aren't that high because I'm quite sedentary. I don't do that many steps. I'm probably doing maybe 5,000 steps a day, so it's quite low. So at the moment, I'm probably on about 2,700 calories.
Oh wow, that is
really
low.
Fairly low, really. Yeah, carbs are about 290. Proteins around about 220. Fats around about 55, 60. So I'm not a big eater. I can eat a lot of food, but if I just want to lose body fat and things like that, I don't necessarily just take 200 calories away and bang the weights off. It's quite difficult for me to get going. But to give you an idea, at the moment I'm about 92 kilos, which is about 205 pounds, something like that. So I'm about 40 pounds away from contest condition. I've just done a little tidy up from January. So I've come down from about 94 down to 92 now. So I plan to get to under 90 February and then prep then. Start a prep and compete around about October time, something like that.
What shows are you
so, I don't know yet. I mean, obviously you might be looking at WNBF Worlds, but given the situation of the world, I'm not sure how traveling is going to be and stuff like that. But this year, I just fancy doing something different. But I'm not set in stone what yet. But I'm going to wait until round about maybe I get closer to a show, see what my condition looks like, and then from there I'll just pick a show, maybe 1 or 2 shows to do.
Yep.
So it'll be a pro show, maybe a non-tested as well on the way in, something like that, because I've done that before, maybe in classic bodybuilding or the athletic class, but I'm not quite sure yet, to be honest with you. But I've got quite a few options, quite a few shows in Europe, there's the UK and US as well. So
I don't know yet. I saw a Cuba post that they have a natural event going on in the fall or something.
I believe so, yeah. I think it's by Two Bros Pro Show, yeah. I think that's around about, I think it's September and November. I think they've got 2 shows there. That's an option, but we'll see when I get closer, really, yeah. But, I've renewed my pro card again with WNBF, so I'm not ruling out any shows in particular, but, yeah, we'll just see kind of like how I feel, what the travel situation's like, close to the time, really. But I do love competing abroad as well. So yeah, we'll see how things go. But early days yet, and I'll make a decision like when we get closer, And Valentin will help me out as well because he gets around with various federations and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see.
Now, with you being a WNBF pro, do you have to compete every so often, or you just have to pay for a renewal?
Generally, I think the ruling is you got to compete every 2 years. I know when you first get your pro card, you got to compete within. I think it's within 1 year or something like that, from memory. But when I got a pro card back in 2015, I got the pro card on Friday, and then I competed in the pro class on the Saturday. So that was great. Perfect. So so that was good. But I got an injury a couple of years back, and I had a bulging disc at C6. Which really impacted me. I couldn't train for 3 months. I had no strength. I couldn't even do 1 dip. Lost strength in the right side, the arm and everything. It was, quite bad. And I thought then my career was over and everything like that. But then, I saw a specialist, and then he got me on the right path. And a few months into it, I was back training then and back now full on. So, it's good. It's good to be in a position now where I can prep soon,
No, that's awesome. How long would you prep for? What's a typical time frame for you?
Yeah, typically depends on how heavy I am. I normally give it at least 6 months, but the longer off season I have, my weight just goes up quite easily. And I'm not a fan of mini cuts because I've not got the dedication for a mini cut. It's like the goal's not important enough to be on a calorie restricted diet. I mean, so what I do is I'm like, right, okay, then so I'll pick a show, and that's my dedication. I'm not necessarily too concerned with staying super lean around or anything like that because I'm covered up anyway most of the time. So yeah, I kind of embrace the fluff, but it's one of those things where it depends on how much I've got to lose. But this is why I'm doing a bit of a tidy up now, and then prep will start around about mid-February. So it'll probably be about 7 months this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
What weight do you feel you perform best at in the gym?
Good question, that. I would probably say around about anywhere from 78 to 80 kilos. So that's what? About 175 pounds, something like that.
Yeah, same as me. 175 to 180 seems to be like, I feel really good. I move good. Like now I'm getting, closing in on 190. I'm starting to get that, just feeling kind of big, and even though it's not big at all, but for us it's big. But 175 to 180 is kind of a really nice spot. I agree. Yeah,
definitely. When you're dieting down as well, you get that nice sweet spot. You're in really good shape. Yeah. Your training's going really well. You're still strong, but you're still way off conditioning to step on a stage. But anyone saw you on the beach or whatever, they'd be like, "Wow, you're in great shape," and that's the nice sweet spot. And I get to that point, and I always think I'd love to look like this year round.
Yeah.
But I enjoy my food too much and beer, so.
That's awesome. So what's kind of left in the career, man? What do you have anything else you want to kind of tick off? I mean, you've turned pro, you've had a long, successful career. What's left?
I mean, goals wise, I'd love to win a world title at pro level, like in my weight class. that would be something, awesome. I mean, if I would have achieved that maybe 2017, that's where I felt like really like whisker between me and Brett Freeman.
Oh man,
because I got second, and I must admit I thought I took him. With respect to Brett, he's a nice guy. He poses really well. He's nice structure. And I thought I had it that year, but that's judging for you. It's an opinion.
Yep.
If I would have won that year, I probably would have retired.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. Winning once and then that'd be it.
Yep.
Then I thought, right, I'll come back again. And then I got third, so it was like, yeah, I'm still in the mix, but not quite happened.
Who edged you out in that one?
There was Ben Howard won it. He got first. Matteo Petrucci got second. I beat him the year before, so it's like at pro level, there's all these small margins, and it could just go any way from year to year. I beat Adrian, the Spanish guy who won the world. So it's like, well, I'm beating people and they're beating me and things like that. It's like,
it's give and take.
So this is it. I mean, you could pick one year, you could just turn up and you could win it. Yeah. Another year, everyone could just come out of the woodwork and you could get maybe fifth. That's bodybuilding for you. So it'd be really nice to win a pro show before packing it in. But it's not the be all and end all. If I can still diet down and look improved and be competitive, then I think maybe another 2 seasons. It would be nice to do this season, next season, because next season it would have been 35 years since my first competition.
Oh, wow. Oh, you got to do it. That's cool.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't really want to diet 2 years in a row because I've done 3 years in a row and it's awful, but I think that'd be a really good year to maybe retire. 35 years.
Imagine that photo. Imagine that side by side, 35 years.
So, I mean, in 5 years' time, I might still want to compete. You just don't know. But I don't want to be one of those guys where they get older and older. The physique starts looking, they start becoming journeymen. And if they want to do it, that's great. They probably look great as well. But for me personally, I just want to kind of not do too many shows, like a fighter does. They box too many fights and they start kind of like looking a shadow of the former self, really. So I just want to if I can still improve, then I'll compete hopefully another 2 seasons.
Oh, that's awesome, man. All right, brother, let's close this out with some words of wisdom to the younger athletes, the guys that are just starting out their competitive journeys and they want to be in it long like you are. What would you share with them?
I would say just listen to 1 or 2 people. You don't have to have a coach, but just follow one thing and just follow it through for a few months, and then just give it time. Put in the graph. You've got to work hard to improve, but don't become overcomplicated with science and this and that. I mean, bodybuilding isn't complicated at all. But there's sometimes you can just listen to too many things and get confused. So do the basic, get stronger on the compounds, beat the logbook as well wherever you can. Listen to your body as well, and just really, really push yourself and just see where it takes you. By all means, gain inspiration from the pros, guys like yourself, and the other guys, and follow people definitely. But if anyone makes you feel kind of really inferior, or they make you feel bad and depressed, just don't follow them, because you need to be on the right path for you and keep positive, and just give it time, because it's not going to happen overnight. And I think if you love something for long enough, then you'll do it. It's like even if I don't compete again, I'll always be training for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I think that's the main thing, really.
Beautiful, man. I agree with everything you said. Even seeing guys coming up that are, trying to learn from me. I echo the same things that you just said, especially the one where, you mentioned if people make you feel like, in lighter terms, make you feel like shit, don't follow them. Just get them out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right on. All right, man. Where can people find you? Plug all the social medias. I know you do some coaching. If people want to reach out.
Yeah, my website is www.damianleestailorfitness.co.uk. It's on my bio on Instagram, which is Coach WNBF Pro Damian Lees. I'm on Facebook as well, Damian Lees WNBF Pro, as well as Damian Lees. Pretty easy to find, really.
Just type your name in and you'll find you.
This is it, yeah, definitely.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad we could set this up.
No, it's great to talk, and thanks for having me on.
All right, everybody. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please give it a like and subscribe for future episodes. Follow this man on Instagram and all other platforms, and we'll see you guys in the next one.